Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a jarring reality that hits right after the emotional high of finishing a PhD. You know, when people talk about finishing a dissertation, they almost exclusively focus on crossing that finish line, right? They talk about the massive celebration and the huge wave of relief. But what we're going to unpack today is a phenomenon tackled head-on in the fantastic book Beyond the Dissertation. It's a concept the author calls the practical vacuum.
While crossing that academic finish line brings a tremendous amount of euphoria, very few people actually prepare you for the beautiful yet totally daunting landscape that opens up immediately after. Think about it. You've spent literal years with a singular driving focus, and then, suddenly, you're standing on the edge of this massive expanse. Beyond the emotional identity shifts you're experiencing, the practical ground just suddenly drops out from right under you.
Because suddenly, all these immediate, real-world logistical questions just crash down on you. These are the kinds of questions that you might have put off for years while safely living inside the university bubble. Like the most basic pressing one of all, what do you actually do for money now that the stipend or the fellowship is over? Honestly, it can feel completely overwhelming to confront this after years of academic insulation.
And, it doesn't stop there. Foundational aspects of your life that were previously on pause or just running on pure autopilot are now urgently up in the air. Where are you going to live? Do you stay near the university library? Do you pack up and move across the country for a job? The geographical and structural certainty of your academic program? Yeah, it's just gone.
And perhaps the most disorienting question of all, how on earth do you structure your days when there are absolutely no more chapter deadlines hanging over your head? Entering the non-academic world feels like navigating an entirely new country. The expectations are completely different and nothing feels familiar anymore. To really illustrate this jarring shift, let's look at a story highlighted in the source text about a recent graduate named Amanda.
Section 1. Amanda's Shock and the Translation Trap.
So, Amanda went from successfully defending her dissertation on a Tuesday afternoon, really riding that incredible hard-earned high, to facing a very cold realization by Thursday. Literally just 2 days later, that euphoria had completely faded. As she sat alone at her desk updating her CV, this terrifying thought crept in. Have my years of deep expertise rendered me completely unemployable outside academia? Moving from an environment where her work on governance systems was instantly understood and respected to a world where she suddenly had to explain and justify everything, it was a massive shock. She felt like an alien who'd been handed incredibly advanced tools but had been dropped into a landscape with a map.
Which brings us to our first real test in this new landscape. Amanda landed her first job interview outside of academia for a content development position at a policy institute. But she stumbled. When the interviewer asked her about her relevant experience, she completely froze up. She found herself really struggling to explain how her years of analyzing complex governance systems had actually prepared her for writing practical policy briefs. The connection was entirely lost in translation.
But here's the irony. Amanda's skills were 100% there. I mean, think about it. Deep research capabilities, the ability to synthesize massive amounts of complex information, clear communication of complex ideas, and systematic thinking under intense pressure. These are elite, high-level assets in absolutely any field, not just in a university setting. She definitely had the tools.
So the crucial point here is that translating these academic skills felt like learning to speak a completely foreign language all over again. This is exactly what the book defines as the translation trap. The language of the corporate or nonprofit world was just different. The expectations were different. Her expertise wasn't the problem at all. It was simply the overwhelming hurdle of converting those deep skills into a dialect that actually resonated with non-academic employers.
Section 2. Bridging the gap and changing the dialect.
If you find yourself stepping into a marketplace that doesn't automatically speak academic, you've got to realize something absolutely crucial. Your expertise isn't the problem. The translation is. You see, academia trains you for years to meticulously articulate your methodology, to map out the literature, and to perfectly format your citations. That is the required currency of the university. However, the broader professional world demands something different. They're looking for outcomes, practical applications, and immediate problem solving. It's the exact same brain power, it just needs to be pointed in a completely different direction.
And this is where the real magic happens for your resume. By building a concrete bridge and reframing your academic milestones into highly sought-after corporate terms, that practical vacuum immediately starts closing. For example, you didn't just do deep research, you executed advanced data analysis. You didn't just do thesis writing, you engaged in high-level stakeholder communication. And managing your dissertation for all those years, well, that translates directly to delivering high-stakes long-term initiatives. This is exactly the kind of stuff hiring managers are desperately looking for.
Really, the most empowering takeaway from beyond the dissertation is this exact realization. You aren't starting from scratch. You're simply changing the dialect. You already possess the intense analytical capability needed to succeed in the corporate world, the nonprofit sector, or literally wherever you want to go next. You just need to adjust your vocabulary to match your new environment. Please do not let the vacuum convince you that you're empty-handed.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, incredibly powerful thought, straight from the source material. Your PhD gave you world-class tools. Now, it's just a matter of learning how to show the world how to use them. If this explainer hit home for you, be sure to grab a copy of Beyond the Dissertation and start translating your incredible academic impact into real-world success. I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder today. What is the very first academic skill on your CV that you are going to translate right now? Thanks for joining me, and keep learning.